Okay, sorry. No, that's a big no. You tell him I said it. Hey man, I'm sorry. What'd you say?
You can hear me good?
Yeah.
Find a way to recondition my book. I need to find a way to like fix this.
Tape. They actually sell like book tape.
I already tried. Okay. I gotta find that kind. I'm about to say I already tried tape and I didn't.
What, duct tape? No, I think there. You sound distant.
How about now? Still sound distant?
Yeah.
I know that the background music is loud.
There's like this book binding tape.
I gotta find it.
Yeah, I use it. I'm out of it, but it's like because some tape, some of the can degrade the page, the yellow the pages over time. Oh, it's loud. Sorry about that.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah. What up, James?
Okay,
What
yeah.
up,
Now he both of y'all better.
Oh, okay. That was the music.
How
you feeling, bro?
Man, I'm good, man. I'm good.
Did you work out the issues?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Do it sound like it?
Yeah, you sound better.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't hear no popping or nothing on my end either. Everything.
Yeah. All right. Well, welcome back, man. I appreciate you on Wednesday. I'm not sure what happened.
Yeah, I never even. I mean, I don't know either. I never heard from Skip.
Yeah, I messed up. I messed up the thing when I was scheduling. It had me on. I was like literally on Pacific time, and I scheduled it on Pacific time because I was in Los Angeles, and I thought it would correct to Central.
Yeah, right.
But then
it never did. It stayed at 11.
Yeah, which it was supposed to be. Yeah, so, but that shouldn't have really been an obstacle because you can, as long as it's before the established time. But
well, I went in, you know, just like I am now, but I was in there by myself, and I didn't know if the show had started or not. Was in there. I was like, okay. Then I was waiting, and then that never happened. So,
and I thought I would be landing back in Chicago around 6, and I was going to try to rush back, but I didn't land until like almost 9 o'clock. So it was well over for me when I hit the ground, even though, you know, the flight and everything went according to time. And then they had some issues with another flight at the gate. So I got back much later than I thought. But anyway, we're here now. This is obviously what the ancestors wanted. Why y'all grinning? Like y'all playing with the ancestors?
Because you be playing with the ancestors.
I don't play with the ancestors.
You play with the ancestors and
I don't play with the ancestors. Speaking of ancestors, this is the anniversary of the death of Malcolm X.
Yeah. I've been seeing some Ben Crump getting his rocks off in these last few days.
What'd he say?
I mean, what did he even say? He always saying shit. Like, this is his moment, man. He want to make sure that Malcolm X is remembered, like JFK and MLK and all those other people.
You're saying it as though you're like detracting from it, though.
Well, I mean, I don't know if his remembered is our remembered, Diallo. I'm pretty sure you wouldn't agree with Ben Crump's analysis of Malcolm X.
He softened him up.
I mean, he Ben Crump. I mean, so
he made Malcolm edible. He made him palatable for people to accept him.
At least I don't think you would agree with Ben Crump's analysis of Malcolm. Let me clear it up, Diallo. I don't know. Sometimes you just be arguing.
I don't agree with most people's analysis of Malcolm X.
Oh, I hope not.
I know most of y'all in this family, they gotta soften him up, man. Because I mean, I don't understand how like they trying to put him on. Oh man, look, trying to put our people on stamps and man, like who idea is that? Like, yeah. I don't want to know that.
Since Diallo, since you said that, like I do have a way to but kind of push us into a conversation, because obviously Crump and the lights and all of the white folks will call Malcolm X a civil rights leader. Obviously, he was critical of those people, and so I wonder if we could talk about maybe the categories of different Black movements. So, civil rights movement, the Black nationalist movement. What are some other ones, and then how would you, Black internationalist, radical Black tradition, whatever? How would you like fit Malcolm into one of those, if you would? One of those.
Well, the problem is,
good question.
Ultimately, Malcolm X was a revolutionary Pan-Africanist. If you look at the objectives and the point of view of the Organization for Afro-American Unity, he was anti-imperialist, anti-capitalist, but he didn't start off that way. And I think the problem with Malcolm is we don't look at him as an evolving and developing figure. We think the whole entirety, the only transition we recognize of Malcolm X is him going from Detroit Red or Satan to Malcolm X, and we leave it at that. We think those are the only two manifestations or iterations of Malcolm X, when in reality, Malcolm X went from a petty street thug to a cult member, of a apocalyptic reactionary cult member. And a lot of his positions and points of views, while he was an active minister within the nation, were very reactionary. They were counter-revolutionary. They were ultra-conservative.
Let me alter you a little bit. Was he sincere in there?
Yes, he was very sincere.
And do you feel like he pushed the bright points or the alleged bright points to those of that space, and saw it had limitations and outgrow it?
Well, I was getting to that. Of course, he outgrew it. That's why I said we only recognize two, when Malcolm X had more than two manifestations. He had more than two evolutions, from a petty street cook to a conscious Black man. And we tend to leave him, unfortunately, I think, which is disrespectful of his legacy. We tie the revolutionary Malcolm X to the cult member Malcolm X. And we don't like to acknowledge the shortfalls of the cult member Malcolm X, even though we have Malcolm X in his writings and in his public words acknowledge his failings and his mistake of becoming a member of the cult and then promoting that cult to the community. And we don't acknowledge that. We want to erase that part, and not including the role they played in his assassination, and the role they played in distorting and suppressing his memory after they played a central role in his assassination. So it's crazy to me how we just want to gloss over Malcolm X and just focus on the things we like. When Malcolm X was out here talking about the wolf and the sheep and arming yourself, when you get those transcripts of those public talks, and you look at the part where he literally, Malcolm X went around for much of his public life saying that our solution is a supernatural, otherworldly solution. There will be divine judgment, and that a prophet will come and lead us, the prophet who is here today, who had direct talk to a divine being, would lead us to the promised land. And we act like that Malcolm is equivalent or the same Malcolm that came back and said, listen, I am working. This is an international global phenomenon of white supremacy, white imperialism, capitalist exploitation, colonization. And he went from a religious, cult, theocratic point of view to a secular political analysis.
Right. But you also would say, like, just in general, whether we're not trained to do it or we just don't do it, nobody likes authentically engage anybody in some type of chronological historical analysis, right? So just as well as they misrepresent or try to link all his shit together, they do this. Like, niggas is still talking about the Talented Tim, even though the boys upgraded that shit a couple years after that, and then he went all the way over to Revolutionary Pan-Africanism. So I don't know that we not do that for anybody. Like, that's just not how we engage with history. I'm not saying that I'm not making an excuse for it. I'm just saying, like, that is how a lot of people deal with every piece of history.
Well, Du Bois is not as, I think Du Bois and his writings are very prominent amongst a very particular segment of the community, whereas Dr. King and Malcolm X transcends all aspects. Like, their status and their the consciousness, the understanding, the knowing, it transcends. I mean, literally, blockbuster movies have been made about both these men, where I don't even know of any fictionalized biography or any type of biographical film about Du Bois.
And academics are starting to pick
most, and it is true that most historical figures get a reworking and a rewrite. That is very true. But I think Malcolm's is much more insidious, because the cult that played that role still has maintained to this day a prominent position amongst the Black cultural community, the Black conscious community, the Black politically active community. So individuals that played a role in taking down Garvey, the individuals that played a role in taking or subverting the work of Du Bois or distorting his legacy, the individuals that manipulate and distort Dr. King cannot call 1 million Black people to Washington, D.C. once, twice, 3, 4, 5 times. So I think Malcolm X's distortion and our fumbling the ball on preserving his true legacy is worse, because of those who did those crimes to him still have very powerful. Even the brother that took down Chairman Fred Hampton, he couldn't call 1 million Black men to D.C.
Talking about William O'Neill?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
But the man who was instrumental in taking down Malcolm called, and many of y'all look at him and still listen to him to this day.
I mean, I think I hear that, and I think the other conflict, and I'll let James go too. The other conflict is, and I'm not saying that they're like it, but sometimes it seems like NOI has this, like, what's the people name? I done blanked the name already. What's Patrice Color's group? Black Lives Matter. Sometimes it has like this Black Lives Matter thing to where there might be a chapter in a city that actually do good work, right? There might be a chapter, there might be people within the organization who do decent work. That one point, right? So there could be some NOI brothers and sisters that are solid in the work that they do and their authenticity. One. Then two, they're kind of like, people feel a type of way of not acknowledging that you can't get a Malcolm X before he passed without his matriculation through the NOI.
Bullshit.
You can assume.
No, it ain't no assumption.
You can assume. You can. bro.
I go on the record stating that the cult disrupted his development. I go on the record that Malcolm.
I don't know that.
Listen, if you go back and read about Bembry, if you go back and read his autobiography, he was.
You say Emory?
Yes, Bembry.
Oh, Bembry. Oh.
If you go back and read the biography, was he not coming into consciousness, political and social consciousness prior to being recruited into the cult?
Because his ties his parents had? Is that what you're saying?
Are you going to answer the question?
I don't know. That's what I'm asking you.
I'll answer the question. Yes, he was evolving. His political consciousness was developing before he was recruited.
I'm saying, how do you conclude that? I'm saying, what was happening?
Because he himself came out and said, "I regret building the organization and advancing the organization."
Okay, yeah.
And whenever
Diallo, slow down.
And whenever y'all quote Malcolm,
no, go back because you're gonna go somewhere else. That's post NOI. So post NOI, of course, Malcolm would say that. You just told me before he even go to NOI, he was already on a trajectory. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay, so and I'm asking you how, and that's not a good answer. That's not a good answer that he would regret it because that's post. I'm saying, what did you learn? Or what do you confirm prior to him joining NOI that gave you said that, oh, he would have ended on this trajectory?
Because everything I love and respect about Malcolm is and most of y'all who quote or refer back to Malcolm, y'all don't ever quote his NOI rhetoric. His NOI rhetoric, if we started getting out here putting out, because I got the recordings, I got the writings of Malcolm speaking on behalf of the nation. And it's utter nonsense. It's gibberish.
I think you're skipping the point.
It's gibberish. So I think can I play something for you?
Yeah, definitely.
Well, I don't even got to play it.
We should get to those categories though, but go ahead. Because I would love to know how you view again.
Well, it's all speculation. You admit your part is speculation, right?
Which part?
About Malcolm X without the nation wouldn't have come to consciousness.
No, I didn't tell my speculation. What I said was that there's people grappling with, it's two things I said. There are chapters and people in NOI who do good work. And people have engaged with those people doing good work. So there's this softness or sympathy people have for the NOI. And on top of that, because people sees Malcolm life and they said, oh, NOI was his moment to consciousness, he outgrew them, they will argue that, I'm not saying me, but they will argue that he needed the NOI to whatever. And you're saying that they studied his growth and you have evidence because of his thoughts, actions prior to joining NOI. And that's what I was asking for, like, what was those things? Like, and then I asked, well, his parents being black nationalists, was that because and Garveyites? So like, so I that's what I was trying to get.
First of all, let me deal with you saying there are good people in the nation. I agree with you. There are good. I have worked not with just individuals in the nation, but entire Muhammad Mosque on projects, especially in Kansas City, the Muhammad's Mosque right on 47th Street, in one of the most racist cities in this country, are doing good work on behalf of the people. But we're not talking about good individuals or bad individuals. We're talking about the institutions and organizations and the cult.
That's how we.
There are good Jehovah's Witnesses, but it does not excuse the many crimes of the Kingdom Hall. There are good Muslims. It does not excuse the many crimes and atrocities of Islam. There are good Jewish people. It does not excuse the many crimes of Zionists. So yes, I'm not denying that there are good people within the nation now, within the nation past, going into, and unfortunately, they're going to be good people recruited into the nation going forward.
So that's Diallo talking. That's Diallo talking, but it's more so of who experienced. So, for instance, let me finish real quick. I hear that, but if I'm Johnny in Chicago and I engage NOI and they do good work and they good brothers, my image of NOI gonna be like, damn, they good.
Okay,
they could be wrong. Right. Yeah. And I'm saying that because that's a thing that happens throughout this country and throughout people who are black or African, that could be possibly why they have those sympathies or whatever towards the NY, even though they would be like, yeah, Malcolm outgrew them, Malcolm pushed them to their limits, and they were no good. Like he had to leave them in order for him to thrive or whatever. So that I think that's what I'm saying, but I still haven't heard. I mean, maybe you said the connection to Garveyism, but I guess in that moment of time, it just seems like the way the nation was showing up was a logical conclusion for Malcolm.
I don't know. I would think what you go through shapes you. You know, could he have became who he was without the NOI? I think so. But you know, I'm not as read on this as you guys. But I just do I do know his trajectory from beginning to end, and I think it's really hard to say. You know what I mean? He was an intelligent guy before the NOI. He was already, as he always say, evolving. And maybe that was a sidestep. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? That's a question that probably won't never be answered. But
I don't mind saying a good brother was in a bad organization, and he definitely needed to get out of that organization, and wish he could have got out faster. Yeah, so I would say that.
Yeah, well, I would say on record, prior to his recruitment into the cult, we saw that he was coming into political consciousness. There was a mentor he had in prison that he recounts, who was not a member of the nation or a follower of the nation, who he was doing political work with, that he attributed his development to while he was in the nation. The things he was asserting and the claims he was making about Black history, about the nature of reality and the solutions to our problems were absurd. And as he began to learn, as we also have records of him studying and developing relationships with legitimate scholars, not rhetoric, religious and apocalyptic rhetoric, but with legitimate scholars like John Henry Clark and Dr. Ben, when he was sitting with them and getting
for the nation
while he was in the nation. You're not listening to me.
No, I'm making sure. I'm making sure because you said.
Are you hearing me? I mean,
no, because you said he had you're merging it. You said he had access to legitimate.
I'm walking the steps. I said before he became a member of the nation, in his autobiography, he was receiving political education and becoming into consciousness before he was recruited into the cult, and it's documented thoroughly in his biography.
Right. And then you went on to say he had access to legitimate scholars.
And then I said he was recruited into the cult.
Okay.
And he started articulating and learning nonsense.
Okay.
While he was articulating nonsense to the community, he was also receiving conflicting insights from Dr. Ben, from Dr. Clark, from John Jackson. These were his peers. They were all roaming around Harlem at the exact same time.
That's a healthy thing.
And he was learning religious indoctrination and academic development. And this is why he was silenced and he started having internal conflict, because his religious indoctrination started going into direct conflict with his academic cultivation and development and teachings. If you read Malcolm X on Black history, you'll see that the conflict is there with this big head scientist Yakub and white devils versus political and historical machinations. Then eventually we're all familiar with the split. The split wasn't just him speaking out of turn. We learned that the split had a lot more deeper than him just saying chickens coming home to roost, because he said much more inflammatory things.
Absolutely. And the Sons was much
he finally broke. He created a secular organization. He had his religious organization and a secular organization. And he came to the realization that we cannot have a collective struggle that's rooted in any religion. Leave your religion in your closet. He said, so he had a political collective organization and a separate and detached religious organization, which is completely anathema to the nation.
Right.
So just imagine if he came out of incarceration and he started off saying, hey, my faith, my belief, and my politics, they can't be stirred up like that.
Hey.
He would have gone a lot further if we're speculating, because you're speculating as much as I am. It's just you have a more popular speculation that the nation got him there.
I'm not speculating that. I'm telling. I said 3 times. I'm responding to why people might engage this smorgasbord of history that you call. I'm not saying I am speculating that. That's what I'm saying, because we was talking about other people and how they receive them, starting off with Ben Crump's bullshit ass civil rights leader and other stuff he was saying.
So, yeah, I think it's inaccurate to call Malcolm X a civil rights leader. In fact, he was he had hostile relationships with civil rights leader. But it would be fair to call him a cultist.
You say it would or wouldn't?
It would be fair to call him a cultist.
Who, Martin?
Malcolm? Yes.
After he left?
Like no, he left? Of course not.
All right, so why would you call him?
Then look, he left, and the cult murdered him.
Yeah, so that means he wasn't
with him, and then bragged about murdering him, took credit for murdering him, and mocked his death.
Yeah.
So at the time during the civil rights movement, when he was bumping heads with Abernathy, when he was bumping heads, calling them handkerchief head.
Yeah.
At the time of Message to the Grassroots, when he was condemning and mocking the March on Washington, he was a full-fledged card-carrying cult member.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
as you said though, like, because I think that's kind of what you do. You literally admitted that as a human who come into a space and getting information, and he's having confliction. So it's one thing to just say, yeah, you're in a cult, but he has to understand that and come out of that, and that's why he eventually came out of that.
And what were the consequences?
I mean,
violent apocalypse.
That question and answer is no cause. The reality is, if you're
I love how y'all don't like to deal with that. I love y'all. Y'all love Malcolm so much.
Listen, you're not
y'all so scared to deal with the reality of his
30 minutes in, and you just be yawling all the time. All I'm telling you is
you.
So anyway, all I'm telling you is, as you said, he got grafted or recruited into a cult. Nobody is here disagreeing with you. While he was recruited in the cult, no matter of fact, before he was recruited into a cult, he was recruited with somebody without religious indoctrination. Once he got recruited into this black nationalist, weird ass cultist place, he was having access to the people that you say he had access to. It was giving him some information, and he had conflicting thoughts, right? As a human,
I don't know his thoughts, but that's what I conclude.
Say that again.
I don't know his thoughts.
Well, I think anybody, if you read Malcolm, you can know that there's some shit he wasn't agreeing with, and he was confused, and he was struggling against it.
Yeah.
Which i.e. lead to them kind of isolating him and all the shit that's going on, that the chickens come to the roof exacerbated their internal feelings.
I think.
Well, what I'm saying is, as him struggling through it, I'm just not really comfortable. It's not about loving Malcolm, because I think you love Malcolm too. I'm just saying, like, it's just black and white. He was a cult or cultist, whatever. Like, the dude was stuck in that space and then was transitioned out of it. And as you said, as he tried to transition out of it, or as he got pushed out of it, he also got murdered by those same cult people. So I don't know. I just think it's fair to not black and white folks when you really know.
When did I black and white him, though? I acknowledge the evolution. I acknowledge the change. I acknowledge the conflicts. But again, I do think, like I said, my main problem with Malcolm X, well, I have a lot of issues. But one of my main problems is there's often only two. Oh, he went from being in the streets, being a pimp and a hustler, to becoming a revolutionary. And that is not Malcolm's evolution.
And nobody does that.
And the NOI Malcolm and the OAAU Malcolm were two different people, taking two different positions, offering two different remedies for our oppression.
And as you say often, the place that he last was before he was removed from this earth is what you would accredit him to being, right?
Yes, I credit him. Like I said, I'm fond of saying I would have never followed NOI Malcolm, but I would have been a first in line to sign up for the OAAU.
I think I would have loved and respect NOI Malcolm for his ability to challenge with the space that he was in, and however the relationship would have developed, it would have developed.
Yeah, and like I said,
again, I think it's the same thing. Like, do you have a relation? You said it. Do you have a relationship with good brothers and sisters in NOI? Yeah, but that don't mean the whole organization. So
yeah,
Malcolm,
if they ever come talking to me, I'd be like, run for your life.
well,
like, get up out of there.
Same position with the NOI that we do the police.
Can I tell y'all something that's gonna make y'all squirm a little bit?
I mean, that's just a question.
You trust the police more than you trust the NOI? That's what you about to say?
Who, me?
Yeah.
No,
I'm saying trust.
If it's any bad apples, I mean, if it's a bad organization.
Let me tell you this about the NOI is the police.
James, I do got an answer to that. Do I believe that some decent humans, sincere humans, end up joining the police force? Yeah, but their job and everything they stand for is
no good cops. All cops are bastards.
But again, yeah. Anyway, but
sorry, Uncle Chris.
their job and the institution that they work for is inherently repressive and contributing to the degradation of society. So even if they had good intentions with a limited or sick understanding of how the world works, I could understand that somebody went into a thing. Like I've known people, just like the military, went into policing because they thought it was a thing and got out that motherfucker really quick. So me too. So it is really, I don't know. But
I have to say this, because your question about comparing NOI to police. I was raised, shout out to East Hills Village. I was raised in a community that was like, when your own people do you in, it's much worse than when outsiders do you in. You should expect more and hold your own to a higher standard than outsiders. So if you have an organization within your community intimidating, terrorizing, and taking the lives of your people, yes, it is worse than an outside institution doing it. That is not to say that we should treat either, but yeah, when it's your own people, it cuts deeper and it hurts worse. Yes, I think Obama is one of the worst presidents ever, not because he committed international war crimes above and beyond the white president, but he was able to activate and connect with black people in a way no white president ever has, and he exploited that. So he is at the top of my list of the worst presidents, because when it's somebody that is either of you or is able to trick us into coming of you, I've always been of that position. So yeah, I'm going to look at black organizations and with more scrutiny and expect higher standards from the black organizations than I am the goddamn police or any white organization or institution.
I don't argue with that at all. I think I don't want to stay here too, because I want to go to my bed, James. What you said?
No, I said so. Umar and Barack, you all said they get the same venom, huh? They get the.
No. Umar is nowhere near as bad as Fubar. Dr. Fubar is nowhere near as bad as Obama.
But they print on the void, though. I'm saying, but they use.
Yeah, they do. But Obama is far more worse.
Yeah.
Obama is an international war criminal.
War criminal. Yeah, he got way more body.
Fubar is a petty hustler. That's two different categories of badness. I mean, if we had a revolutionary re-education camp, I wouldn't put Obama in PC.
So Diallo, did you say he's Malcolm fell into the when he left the African Revolutionary Internationalist, or what? Like, what would be the container that you would put him in terms of political?
I would say, using modern language to describe a somewhat dated phenomenon, I would say he was a revolutionary Pan-Africanist. His organization of Afro-American unity sought solidarity sought to unite all Afro-American people within the African diaspora and hold solidarity with struggles of African people all around the world. He also stood in solidarity with all anti-colonial struggles across the globe as well. Guerrilla movements in Latin America and Southeast Asia. So it was a revolutionary, anti-colonial, anti-imperialist, liberationist movement. When before he was a salvationist, he would literally say, yes, this white devil will be brought to justice by our God, and our prophet will, and our ministers and our will lead us, and the solutions were non-solutions. And we tend to pick around that. And when he talk about, oh, the Republicans are a wolf and the Democratic fox, and we love to extract those quotes from his speeches of that era, but we don't talk about what he says about nappy eyebrows and big-headed scientists and grafted dogs, pigs, and grafted to make the white man. We skip over that and just go and get those blurbs of defend yourself and you know, goddamn America.
They got it from?
Huh?
Is that where Farrakhan got it from?
Well, those were the teachers.
Before him.
Malcolm X said before we came under oppression, our hair was the texture of our eyebrows. And he said, if you find a black people that have really been under the foot of oppression, they would even have nappy eyebrows. And we had silky soft hair before oppression and before hardship.
Yeah, with that statement, yeah, Malcolm.
He said that our salvation would come from the clouds and rain down justice and cause the fall of America, and America will be taken down by a divine being, and we will get divine retribution.
That's right.
Listen, the man only can punch out of the container that he was in. So
yeah, I agree. I used to be on some bullshit.
That's what I'm hoping that we acknowledge.
Bullshit. I respect his evolution, and I use him as a model to say, hey, even if I believe something with my whole heart and I said something with my whole chest, I am allowed to look back on my positions, my conclusions, my beliefs, and even my associations and allegiances and change that shit up. So I'm allowed to change. I'm allowed to evolve. I'm allowed to be wrong and correct the wrong. Even I get that from Malcolm. So if I come on here next Friday saying something totally different, you know, don't take my life, Geechee and James.
What you said, James?
I said, yeah, man. Well, we all been sidetracked there, because I mean, you know, I feel like I should have started out on this lane.
Oh man, I used to be, man. If y'all knew me back in the 90s,
right? Like
I'd be there with Fubar. I'd be there with Dr. Umar.
Peace, Queen.
Females. I'd be man. Shoot, I had a lot of growing to do.
Before we get to your boy Elon Musk and him, I would because Malcolm X, and I know we're going to talk about policy a little bit later, but because Malcolm X used to argue around tactics at times, do you think it would be wise for us to kind of like compare their objectives, and just kind of like, so if Malcolm saw one thing, Martin saw a thing, and they had like different objectives and tactics to get to. And I think even today, as I feel like people don't talk a lot about policies, as we're talking about now, not only like public policy, but values and social policies that their organizations are for. Do you think we do enough explaining like this is what Malcolm's objective was and his policies, his outlook on life based off of his readings, and these are some of the tactics that they use to try to get there? Now we can, extract the tactics and say like that would have never gotten there. So since, as you said, praying or waiting for that God to come get you is never going to free Black people. So I wonder if there's a way to kind of like highlight objectives and tactics as it relates to like a Malcolm X and whoever else we kind of compare him to, especially like the civil rights people, whom I think MLK don't fit in anymore either. Go ahead.
Yeah, the thing is, policy is very boring to people. And I don't know if y'all know this, but I literally have a master's degree in public policy.
I remember.
It's over there on the wall. And I've always been very intrigued by systems, institutions, statecraft, how to construct and deconstruct systems and states, understanding nationhood and statehood, and all of those things were very, very, very interesting and necessary to me. But the reason why that you don't deal with, like you said, objectives and policies, because if most of these organizations and formations actually articulated their objectives and policies, you would see two things. Number one, what they're striving for is pretty much a replica of the status quo.
That's a fact.
That's one thing you will see. If you look at the objectives and tactics or the dream, like they don't even like to say objectives because that's not a flowery, our dream, our mission, our what we strive for. It's nothing more than a chocolate-coated, blackified, kente cloth and mud cloth covered replica of what the white man did. That's one. The other thing that we'll see if they started articulating their objectives is that their actions are completely contradictory to what they claim to want.
Not as scientific as you thought.
That's why it's better. Most of these organizations, they focus on the injustice of our system and they struggle on how we suffer, and they talk about our enemies and all that, but they very seldom have these. To me, it's not boring, but I acknowledge for most people, they tend to stray away from sober analysis, critique, and construction, laying out a detailed timelines and plans. And then what they really hate is evaluation.
Oh, yeah.
Where you go back and say, well, this was the timeline, this was the methodology, this was the objective, these were our specific actions and tasks, and this is the ultimate outcome. I literally got squeezed out of an organization because I was saying we need to have an annual assessment. We have all these grand goals, but we have no yardstick to measure the progress. And there are no rewards for moving towards the goal. There are no consequences for moving away or stagnating towards our goals. And then I suggested that we have, during Kwanzaa, embed within this Kwanzaa celebration, a yearly assessment, evaluation, and grading of how far we've advanced in our mission.
Yeah.
And so to me, like I was out my goddamn mind.
No, listen, bro. We don't even got to talk about it. You already know. But this is why one of my favorite quotes, and I know, we still ain't talk about August Nimp's article that you don't like. But as he, oh shit, I can't. Can I share? Or did I press cancel? Yeah. Oh, my bad. I pressed cancel. But this thing where, again, well, anyway, I'm not even going to pretext it, but I think it was Ingalls who said it. But universal suffrage, engaging in policy work, organizing the people around policy. If only people had known how to use it, it's slower and boring, like Diallo say. Oh, well, they say boring too. Slower and more boring than the call to revolution, but it's 10 times more sure. And what is even better, it indicates with the most perfect accuracy the day when a call to armed revolution has to be made. It's even 10 to 1. I'm sorry, it's even 10 to 1 that universal suffrage, intelligently used by the workers, will drive the rulers to overthrow legality. That is, to put us in the most favorable position to make a revolution. So the reason why I love that quote is because, as you said, like, I don't really find a lot of people really arguing like, yo, these are our policies. And these policies, if we struggle to make them a reality, will achieve the social order that we want to see. And they don't explicitly say what that social order is. And I do agree with Diallo in terms of maybe the why is because then they would have to be held accountable to see that shit measure up. But the other why is I don't think these people want to put their bodies on the line and actually get to the armed struggle part. Like, I don't think that's like, I don't think people are serious. That's why people say like, oh, I'm probably not going to see it in my lifetime. At the rate and methods that you're using, I'm sure you're not. Right?
when people realize that they really at the line, like, I mean, after all that is said and done, like, politics is war without the gun, right? So when you realize that all the stuff that you really doing at the end of the day is really walking up to that line, getting ready to fight, people think twice about that. People don't want to put themselves in harm's way. Talk to people every day, man. I heard one cat said, man, I don't want to die. And he not even nowhere near the movement, nowhere close. It's just what he's been told, what he sees, what he thinks. You know what I mean? Like, if you do this, this is what's going to happen to you. So, even with policy, like,
But I have to say this, though. We've got it twisted. Submitting to oppression is more deadly than resisting.
I agree.
Because a lot of people think that revolution means guns. I think we as revolutionaries have to start teaching our people better. Revolution is an academic affair. It is an intellectual endeavor. It is a social and cultural movement. When you look at most revolutions, you'll find that the violence was never carried out or provoked by the revolutionaries. And most revolutionaries can achieve their goals or get close to their goals without any massive amount of violence. Most violence in revolutionary struggles occurs when the oppressor comes to retake and subvert the revolution. Because revolution is essentially transformation of the people's social relationship, which isn't an inherently or naturally violent process. What we also recognize is Black people have suffered from more violence and disruption when we were pacified than when we were rebelling. Look at our incarceration rate. Everything we thought we would avoid by not being revolutionaries, we've gotten more intensely. Incarceration, homicide, disruption and dispersal of our communities, surveillance. You name one thing.
Slow violence.
Right. You name one thing that happens to revolutionaries, like when that coon Dave Chappelle talk about he didn't want to be a revolutionary because Malcolm X and Dr. King died broke. And there's no retirement plan for revolutionaries. And he's a comedian. And how many comedians and entertainers have died broke, have had the IRS run up in their shit? Even his beloved Red Fox died penniless, and Eddie Murphy had to pay for his burial plot. So you're just as likely, if not more likely. How many rappers, how many YouTube videos is it of Birdman, rapper mansion foreclosures and repossessions for all these rappers? So
how many Black executives do the same fucking thing?
Right. There is, yeah. and so we need to tell our people safety, security, stability rest in revolution and rebellion. Disorganization and disruption and premature death and injury rest in submission much more than it is in revolution and rebellion.
That's why I'm ready to crash out now.
Don't crash out. Why crash out?
Intellectual endeavor.
Trump is in office now, and Trump says that the military was too woke and too weak, and he has to do something about it.
I agree with him on that. That's one thing. I wish he would bar military Black people, of LGBTQ plus people. Let it be strictly white boys.
That's a fact.
Heterosexual, cisgendered, patriotic white boys. Let them join the military, and let that be the military.
It's a good idea.
Yeah, I agree.
That's one thing. That's one.
Let them fight MMA style. Let them put the guns down.
At the Panthers 10-point plan. What did the Panthers 10-point plan? Wasn't one of those exemption from military service?
Yeah, it is.
So he's got one of the Panthers points.
Every time we step in, we'll always help them win.
If you LGBT,
don't associate military service with knowing how to fight. They ain't gonna work.
See, that's another thing. That's another illusion.
Don't do that. There's so many gorillas out there.
I say, ask yourself all the time, what would the world be like if no man ever killed another man because another man told him to do it?
Oh, she was joking. My bad. My bad. That's me.
She ain't joking.
No, she was joking.
No, she wasn't.
She way more sharper than that. Now, don't do that. Don't do that. No, but so tell me this. All right, I hear that. So you agree with that part about making the military mayo white, no vegan mayonnaise, but the one with the eggs.
Police too.
Police too, but no. Do you agree?
My real policy is disband the U.S. military.
I hear that, but before we get there, are you rocking with Elon Musk defunding USAID?
No.
Why? And because yeah, why? Go ahead.
Here's the thing about white folks and how white folks play the game. They will force dependency on you and then shame you for being dependent. So it's not enough to just cut off aid after over a century of economic underdevelopment and economic subversion and economic warfare.
That's a fact.
The U.S. since prior to World War I, depending on what region of the world you're going to, Latin America, Central America, the Caribbean, the African continent, the U.S., after the fall of the Soviet Union, wanted to align all economies. And so they forced all economies to stop orienting their development towards meeting the needs of their population and towards developing commercial crops and commercial industries to export to the highest bidder. So much of the world has been brought to a world of forced dependency. And in this world of forced dependency, it was a systematic process. So you need a systematic process to return the world to self-sufficiency. You don't create self-sufficiency by cutting people off from things that they need.
Right.
You create self-sufficiency by giving people independent control and access to what they need. So you take a bad situation and make it worse. And because we lack the capacity for critical analysis and critical thinking, we think if something's bad, the solution is just stop. And you ever seen like a heroin addict and you take a heroin addict and I know U.S. aid is bad, it's insidious, it's corrupt. But the solution is not to just cut it off.
Yeah. So are you trying to tell me that when these people say, because it, there's a line in there that people might say, oh, we want that. It says assistance in Haiti, how aid circumvent the democratic process, eroded sovereignty, undermine local businesses and government, and serve more as a benefit to U.S. special interest groups than the local population. When they say that, it can sound like, oh, yeah, but again, are you saying that they're setting up you to see that when they already divest and destabilize them, whenever they fail, they're gonna say, "See, sovereignty didn't work. This is why we need to come back." Is that what you're saying?
No. What I'm saying is
rugged individuals.
Right. This cold turkey approach. Cutting U.S. aid is to a world, to economies and countries that have been brought into economic dysfunction because they're like, oh, you cut U.S. aid because the U.S. uses aid to manipulate, control this and that. They still have the fucking military. They still have the CIA. They still have they still control the monetary markets. They still control the trade routes. So you think taking away one instrument of control while literally reinforcing all other instruments of control is a solution? It's not U.S. aid. It is U.S.
Phones up, Diallo.
See, he started talking that U.S. shit and they got him out of there. But again, what I was asking, because what it could sound like, because if somebody look at this and they see that why they're getting rid of U.S. aid, assisting Haiti, and they're not really assisted, but it's the special interest, right? Because all those other things are happening, but people think it's just the aid because they're moving to U.S. interest. Once they remove the aid and say like, oh, we letting them be sovereign and we letting them do their own thing.
That's a lie. You're right.
when they fail for the other things, as I thought Diallo was saying, when they fail for those other things, because there's many other reasons, they can say like, see, we let them try to be sovereign and it still didn't work. So that's kind of what I was asking.
Can I say this? Here's the thing about that, though. When they talk about, look at what U.S. aid is doing, it's not U.S. aid. It's U.S. imperialism. And we like to look at components of U.S. imperialism. And so just because they're ending U.S. aid does not mean they're ending imperialism. Going all the way back, there was a billionaire named Ross Perot. And he was a staunch opponent to NAFTA and CAFTA and the free trade in general. And what he said was, if you create free trade, you're going to dump cheap U.S. subsidized agriculture in the so-called third world. That's what they called it back in the 90s, early 90s. You're going to dump all of U.S. agriculture in the third world. And he said, we're going to send them our corn and grain, and they're going to send us their agricultural workers. He predicted the rush of migrants coming into the United States 20 years before the Republican Party started hooping and hollering about it, because it was the Republicans' policy. Haiti was one of the most abundant and functional economies in the old world. Now it is a deforested wasteland. So simply cutting aid to Haiti is not justice. Justice is reforestation, reparations. So you can't create. So this U.S. aid is bad. The cessation of resources to these countries is also insidious and bad. And we don't have to, as a people, pick one horrendous thing over another. When we have a just and humane solution that we should advocate for, I don't celebrate U.S. aid. I don't celebrate the secession of U.S. aid. I articulate and advocate and fight for true and just solutions. And if I have my wife is dependent on me, and I don't let her, and she's in an abusive relationship, I don't let her get a job. I don't let her get an education. She has no work history. Her name is not on any of the accounts or property. And then I'm like, yeah, I've been so bad to you, baby. I'm leaving you. I'm done. And I walk away with everything I came with. Is that justice? And then you're like, oh, you want her to stay in the bad relationship? As if staying in an abusive relationship or being destitute with nothing are the only two fucking options. There are other options.
Yeah. So Lindsey Graham, the clown from South Carolina, he says that the U.S. right now, and I know you want to talk more about Doge and other things, but Lindsey Graham said that the U.S. is in a managed decline. Would you agree with him? Why not?
No.
No?
No.
¿Por qué no?
The United States is eroding. It's what they call imperial overreach. This isn't a managed decline. These motherfuckers don't see. No, that is a myth, and that's something they say to invigorate. But all empires erode. Capitalism is unsustainable. Imperialism is inherently corrupt, and its natural trajectory is collapse. So to call this a managed decline, meaning that the United States will start to withdraw, start to contract, and start to return to a proper nation state, as opposed to a global empire superpower. That is not anything that they're managing.
Wait, you think the decline is going to a smaller nation state? You said, like, because the decline, I don't hear it as going back to something else. Like,
what do you think the decline as?
Like eventually dying, right?
Decline to what? Back to default?
I'm saying, like, I don't think it's no.
I mean, no more United States.
Well, I don't know what Mitch means.
No more federal government. No more federal state government. No more union of the states.
So what I think he means is
Bosnia and the Balkan. You think that the United States is going to balkanize?
So here's what I'm saying, because you know how you do that. What I think Mitch is saying is that they will now lose their position as a world power because and so when I hear decline, I don't hear crumble, imploded. I think he's like, oh, we no longer
managing that decline.
I couldn't hear you.
Who is he asserting is managing that decline?
He's saying that's what Trump is going to be doing. Trump and the cabinet.
And he's in opposition to that.
Well, honestly, like, so for instance, I saw an interview and the lady was asking him, he was like, well, Trump did what he's supposed to do, come in office and hire the people that's going to help him get his agenda done. But he still argues that it's managed decline. So
when did he say that?
Probably like a couple weeks ago, the interview I saw.
I'd have to know the context of which he's saying that, because America's downfall and America's being destroyed and America's attacked on all sides by enemy, America is declined. It is a very different assessment when you're talking somebody from the right and someone from the left. Mm-hmm. So the left or the revolutionary analysis about America's decline and erosion is coming from a historical analysis. When the right talk about decline, it's ideological, because they see their decline. If they're not able to dominate, assert their power, hyper exploit, and threaten the world with nuclear annihilation to get its way, they see that as a decline. So these decline is happening. But when the right talks about decline, they're also trying to inspire and invigorate their base to step up, to be strong, to take action.
Right again.
So I'd have to know more of the context, because when the right says America's falling, we want to make America great again, and the outsiders, the insidious forces that are bringing our country down and turning our boys into girls and all that shit, that's a different decline discussion. That is called right-wing rhetoric and propaganda. That is not, Lindsey Graham does not engage in critical analysis. Mm-hmm. And he also does not articulate the truth to his constituents or the general public. He's a lying piece of shit.
Yeah, because my idea of decline is totally different than what his is.
Right. I mean, but then you do have
our wages going down. I'm coming from the perspective of a worker, right? I just see that they constantly making money and our wages are suffering. We barely can pay bills and they steady buying extravagant shit. So yeah, right. It's in decline.
The suffering of the workers is irrelevant. This is something every black person has to understand. And we in a capitalist economy, this comes from Noam Chomsky. In a capitalist economy, the health of the economy has no direct correlation with the health of the society. In a capitalist economy, the health of the economy has no direct correlation with the health of the society, meaning that you can have record profits, expanding industry, expanding military and global influence, while the citizens are suffering, decaying, unhoused, no access to healthcare, substandard education, toxic food. We are taught from the first day, the first time you see a screen in your life as an infant, they talk about every day the stock market. When only 1% of the population owns like 80% of the stock market. The stock market is not relevant to our day-to-day lives. But why, whether you're listening to the radio, whether you're watching your favorite TV show, you're reading the news, you pick up a newspaper or a magazine, the S&P 500, the Dow Jones average, shit that people hear it all the time and don't even understand what it means. They're always talking about the economy is up, this is down, this is down. That has no direct correlation with the society, but they got us all thinking we live in the economy, and without the economy, if the economy goes down, we goes down. When the economy go up, we go up. And the economic instability means my own personal instability. Mm-hmm. But that is not the fact or the reality. We, as working class, in the minds of the elites, the owners, the true capitalists, we exist as resources in the economy, not benefactors. We are equivalent to the oil, to the grain, to the seafront property. We are, and they call us human resources. So when we stand up to assert our opinion, it's no different than the cow giving his opinion to McDonald's. So unless we organize as a class, we will have no power.
Yeah, I see it. I see that so clear. Because right, I see us as enemies. I do. I see us as enemies.
You said what? I couldn't hear it. You see as what?
I said I see us as enemies.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yes.
towards the people. I see them enemies because they don't want to give us what we want.
Right.
I was trying to find it.
We have to organize amongst ourselves to get what we want from them, or from them. But most people don't want to, see it that way. They'll rather become them or strive to, get in that circle as opposed to fighting them.
I was trying to find that little clip of Lindsey Graham. It was like 3 weeks ago, but it's not really anything.
Yeah.
But so I do want to get back into so policy formation in Blueprint for Black Power is my favorite chapter, and I feel like oftentimes people when they think about policy,
copy, James. You gonna show up to church without your Bible?
That man ain't brought his Bibles.
Did you ever go to the church where the pastor would shame you about not bringing your Bible and stuff?
That must was a Baptist church, because most churches don't want you to bring the Bible so they can tell you anything.
Really?
Yeah.
I went to a.
I didn't see that.
Did you know Bibles used to be chained to the pulpit? So that
was the Catholic Church.
Yeah, that was the.
But the Protestant faiths were the opposite.
But they used to struggle against that, though.
Huh?
They used to struggle against the Catholics. That's kind of they was trying to teach people.
Yeah, but you blaming the Protestants for what the Catholics did.
Oh, don't Diallo, please. No, don't ever say that line again.
I do have access to a Blueprint for Black Power book. I don't have it though. I thought I had one.
Open your scriptures to chapter 9.
Chapter 9. Reverend Kenyatta, can you go ahead and read the first verse on chapter 9?
Which one? I do have a verse. The policy process involves.
Yes,
I'll read it like the Hebrews with my finger. The policy process involves.
Stop, brother. Stop, brother. Right there. See, the policy is the policy of your behavior. Go, brother. Read.
The society attempts to achieve certain self-defined goals or to satisfy certain social needs.
Right there. See, he said the goal, not the goal that you want, but the goal that you read, brother.
See, we playing around, the ancestors. You're playing too much, Geechee. This is serious business.
My bad. So look, no, seriously, because I've been talking to with some young people, and we was talking around one of the food issues, and I was like, rank these things: policy, economics, or culture as the biggest to the least barrier. And they kind of struggled and said, well, economics. And I was like, no. Some people said policy, other people say economics. But when I hear people try to grapple with what policy means, they automatically just think U.S. politicians, and that's it. And kind of like you was laying out earlier, with organizations who are supposed to be radical, who don't really struggle for state power, also don't clearly lay out their policies before the people so that the people can be like, you measure up or you don't measure up. And your objectives with those policies make sense or don't make sense. So I guess I would want to start with, a little bit from this chapter, which I think is the most powerful chapter in the book. But if we can kind of get like a concrete definition of how you define policy. Let's start there.
Wait. So is this the question about what goes first? What's ranked first? Culture?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, as it relates to social issues or whatever. Yeah.
Okay.
But what you got, Diallo? I know what you got, but more so explain why you would put yours before.
Say that again.
Explain why you would explain what would you see as the biggest barrier or the cause of material conditions, social issues when you think about policy, economics, or culture.
Well, I think anti-intellectualism. Well, menticide. Black people, we are ahistorical, anti-analytical, and anti-academic. you will find that when a black person starts to articulate and talk about um, the intellectual, scholarly, strategic, and tactical parts of revolution, people will ask them, well, what are you doing? We devalue discussion. We devalue contemplation. We even devalue philosophy and ideology. You will find people that say, I'm not left or right. I ain't with all this talking. I'm about action. So black people, since we entered in this country, have been deeply ingrained to be a strong body and weak mind. We have been valued for our capacity and willing and ability to work.
Is that a political creation?
Valued for our capacity to contemplate, to think, to envision.
Mm-hmm.
And even though we are no longer chattel slaves and it is no longer illegal for us to read, to write, to simply sit and think, we still have an aversion and a devaluation of that. So while white people are building literally monuments to their philosophers, we think our philosophers are all lazy and need to get out and do some work.
Some of us.
So
is that a political creation though? Because it sounds like you're going with cultural.
Everything is political.
Right.
Culture and politics are intertwined. Every culture has politics.
Right.
And every politics is born out of a culture.
But would you say the dominant culture creates, would the dominant politics create particular cultures? So like the political layout and people's political force can make you have maladaptive culture, right?
No, I think culture is always directs politics, not the other way around.
I agree with that.
I gotta take a break. I would struggle some more. That's interesting.
That's why even when you find communism in Vietnam versus communism in Cuba versus communism in the Soviet Union, very, very different. And even when and I'll give credit, people like to say I don't acknowledge this, but you find an Arab Muslim, an Indonesian Muslim, a Senegalese Muslim, or 125th Street in Harlem Muslim, they all read the same damn Quran and all believe in the same God, but it manifests very differently. And sometimes, unfortunately, black people, because of our culture, our oldest culture, the oldest people that exist, as Dr. Clark said, we out Pope the Pope, we out Muhammad. We take people's shit more serious than they take it. We are the true believers. We believe more in our rights in the Constitution. We believe more in our salvation through Jesus Christ. We believe more in the shit people taught us than the people who came up with the shit. So culture, and that's a result of our culture. That's the result of our culture. We are xenophilic. We are a xenophilic people, and we tend to project our humanity onto our enemies and oppressors. That's a cultural phenomenon that directs our politics. We really thought we could become equal with genociders. We could become equal with enslavers, but not become genociders and enslavers ourselves. Like we just tend to forget equality means the same. So we want to be equal with evil people, but that we would not be evil. So yes, culture supersedes politics every time. And I would rather know someone's culture and more interested in knowing their culture and their cultural orientation, their worldview, their social theories, their asili, and then know their politics. When I'm dealing with a black socialist, a black anarchist, a black communist, I do approach them differently than someone from a Western culture or a non-African culture. Not that I'm hostile. I just know they're going to consume it differently. They're going to digest it differently, and they're going to expel it and enact it differently.
Damn. Actually, now I know why you say that, because so when I think about the asili, I obviously know that's a germinating seed to a culture. To a culture. And the utamawazo is a structural thought, and that's where the policy is at. And so now I kind of see why you know.
No, I'm just like, you didn't tell me to bring my copy of Urugu. You told me
Urugu matches that. It matches that. It matches. Like they like boyfriend and girlfriend.
Oh man, listen, stop cheating.
But no, I guess I always, because I think about, this is why, because I think about a social order and there's a political will that creates a social order, and sometimes maladaptive cultures created out that, not inherent cultures that revive and helps the community thrive, but cultures that adapt to the political will of other people. So I guess that's why I always say, like, it's a political context that create conditions. But I can see, if you're thinking about the asili would be the culture, this germinating seed of the culture. The utamawazo would be the structural thought, the politics, the laws, the policies, the values. And then the utamarojo would be, which you don't like, maybe, like the spiritual force that convicts people to do and be a thing.
Yeah, I understand. There are two types of spirit. There's the supernatural, otherworldly spirit, which doesn't exist. But there's another spirit in terms of tone and disposition that is a material thing, a spirit that is the manifestation of your central nervous system, of one's thoughts, experiences, imaginations, hopes, beliefs, dreams. So when I understand there's a secular understanding, like this brother has a positive, enthusiastic spirit, or this sister's spirit has been broken. I understand that's not a supernatural force that will exist after your body dies, but it is a culmination of biological and mental processes that embody that drives you or can stop you. So.
What else y'all got?
Well, okay, I
agree with the cultural part.
Yeah, if you don't know a people's culture, don't think, and that's why we get caught up a lot. We walk around and talk about black and brown. We walk around and think we got allies in places where we don't. We really think that we can adopt someone else's worldview. We could adopt someone else's religion and spirituality and secure liberation through employing their cultural products.
Question, Diallo. Since you said they're interconnected, could you, and again, I don't know epistemological how you bring things together, but could you actually have a culture without laws or rules and values from a culture that you were born into? Does that make sense?
I don't understand.
Like, for instance, culture happens by a group of people who have values. And so when you're born into and adopt a culture, there was already social policies that was there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but values evolve though.
Yeah, but it's still social policies. It's still like rules of engagement.
Policies and values can exist independently. So you have, like, you and I, the three of us, have very particular type of values that don't particularly resonate with the laws.
Right. And we don't have the power to make that mainstream, so it's under.
But we can also live out and enact our values as we navigate the law.
Yes, but if we want to have those values impact and change the social order, then we would have to have political will and might to do so.
Well, yes. And Marx is completely would disagree with all of that. Marx says that he's a materialist. He's saying the material resources available and human access to those material resources and how we access, secure, refine, process, and produce things, that is the engine of history.
That's Marx, though. Marx he ain't got a little African blood in him. He got limitations on his analysis.
But it is valid because Marx was talking to, for, and about white folks.
Criticizing, yeah.
And I agree, but he was doing this a century before Marimba Ani.
Of course.
His work is akin. He was basically saying, how do I create material and social relationships to allow my people to live humanely amongst each other?
And she ain't even using them too much either, which is.
Yeah, but I mean, I know y'all don't like Marx, but
who?
I mean, like, if you read Marx a century ago, I could take excerpts from Marx's writings and remove the title and the date, and you would swear it was a current scholar. He predicted all of this shit. He predicted all of this shit, from alienations to the warfare to the complexity of creating economic conditions where the workers don't have enough to purchase the goods and services, and the hyper exploitation, the isolation of the. He predicted all of this shit 100 years before it happened.
With accuracy.
For white folks, the problem is.
But that's why, listen, bro, I'm about to throw August Nimp's book at you because I think you're gonna feel him if you rock with him a little bit.
I guess I ain't got money.
The article don't really talk to. That's a little bit different, but we're gonna get you over there.
I need to trade some of my books in so I can get some new.
Hey, Brittany, please don't mind Diallo. Diallo is really a preacher, y'all. He hate preachers, but he a preacher. He be doing preachers do that shit. Y'all see, y'all don't want to hear me preach. Like, nigga, we came to hear you preach. Who's the y'all? Who you talking about?
I assume y'all, both of y'all and everybody listening to us is leftists. Who ain't a leftist? Raise your hand.
Yeah, I accept whatever label it is y'all put on me.
James, I know you're a leftist. Are you a leftist, Geechee?
No, I am a left person. I'm leftist. I'm not lefty. I am on the left. Firmly over there.
Political southpaw.
Because you know they got people. They got people who be like, you know, I'm a leftist. Ain't that's like leftish ish? Yeah.
You're a leftist.
I'm
SBI, I'm sorry to tell you, if you are a socialist, you're on the political and ideological left.
Leftist.
I'm an eco-socialist. I'm all the way over there. I want. All the way
yeah, I'm a leftist. I am a far leftist. And the only way, and anybody, I'd like for somebody to come and tell me they're not leftist.
Hey, you know what?
So when I say y'all, I'm talking about y'all. Y'all all leftists.
Wasn't that Michael Jordan's move, that little layup? He finished with the left.
I never watched Michael Jordan play.
He started with the right and finished with the left.
Yeah, he finished with the left. Yeah.
See, even Michael Jordan a leftist. Let's get it.
Who cares if liberals call themselves leftists?
They lying.
Ain't nobody got time for that. You know how.
And that does not devalue leftism. So a liberal lie on you. So if liberals start to call themselves, if somebody lie and say I'm a leftist, they're liberal. You can't. There are leftist liberals, but leftism and liberalism can coexist. There are right wing centrists. There are conservative leftists.
Like who?
Well, a conservative leftist will be someone, because conservatism and liberalism exist across the political spectrum. So let me think. Like, you might say, let me think of a conservative
leftist.
Huh? Well, someone,
Right or something, ain't it?
Well, let's say you have an organization and someone was like, well, in our organization, we need a strict hierarchy and we need a strict chain of command. And the organization has been around for decades, and they're like, well, you know, this has sustained us. And then you get a bunch of young people that come in and say, no, we want a more anarcho system. We don't want to have to answer, and we want to be able to be more dynamic and flexible. Then that would make the old guard conservative. You know what I'm saying? That would make the old guard conservative.
I think the anarchists be kind of annoying me sometimes, though, because the anarchists act like in their writings they don't have a catalyst group, a group that carry them into the society. They just think you're gonna go straight from here to there. I'm not saying all, because I'm not like Diallo, but I just hear a lot of anarchists and even maybe communists that feel like I don't understand how you're these people and you don't have any desire to struggle against the people in power who in control of the state apparatus. I'm just not.
That the anarchists.
That's not the anarchist position, though.
Would shade them to the left.
What's the anarchist position?
The anarchist position is say that all relationships should be voluntary and all hierarchies should not be oppressive and coercive.
But can you not? How you gonna get there from here? Then?
Huh?
How you gonna get there from here? Because it's not like.
Well, that's where I disagree. That's where I diverge from anarchist.
Okay.
The process, but if you read communism is supposed to be the path to anarchism. Remember, Marx said once we implement communism, the state will dissolve. There will be no need for the state. There would be no need for currencies. That when humans start to freely interact, the ultimate outcome of communism is anarchism. There will be no masters, no hierarchy.
That's why I'm trying to figure out why the socialists, the communists, and the anarchists don't understand. They all are fighting against the right, and they do. But they don't seem like it. They seem like that.
There's always going to be internal conflicts on all sides, and until we win, nobody's right.
What you just did, bro?
It said my camera's unplugged.
Anyway, Diallo just got kicked off, guys. Trump won, and we back in. No, but yeah. So I think I know we interviewed Lorenzo Urban a while ago, but I think that was the most coherent anarchist arguments that I've heard, and it still kind of sounds weird.
That was his name, Dog Brother, right? Older cat.
Yeah, older brother. Yeah.
It was on BPM, not BLM, right?
Yeah, a long time ago. Yeah. It was probably like 2 years ago. I don't know how long ago. But yeah, that's the only person that I seriously. I mean, Balagoon. I've been reading a little bit of his stuff too, but Diallo look like he having some issues.
So cats like y'all existed, man. When I first started out listening, I didn't even know cats like y'all existed, man. You know what I mean? And then to really just sit back and just watch all of this history unfold on these basically two channels, man, I mean, like I feel like I'm just so far behind, but I need to be at that.
Man, we all far behind, except Diallo. But listen, the I feel like, and we were talking about this earlier on the show. Like I feel like, but there has to be a way where we can start to have like seriously principled struggles that don't end in like deep and permanent conflict. So
hey, let me tell you something.
You back?
Y'all can hear me?
Muffled.
Oh.
Damn, what something keep happening? Are you pressing something? Stop pressing it.
Pressing the camera button.
Oh, it keeps saying something about like you disconnect, but we about to wrap up anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Y'all can hear me though.
Yeah, it sound like you're in a tunnel.
Sound like you far away. Yeah.
You're in somebody's cave somewhere.
Yeah.
But we can hear you enough.
Stop playing with the ancestors, people.
No, that was you, bro. All that stuff you know how many stuff that you said today. They was like, "Oh, Diallo, that's harsh." Ancestors said, "We tired of this old what did they call y'all?"
No, listen, the ancestors removed me from a space that wasn't conducive for me. The ancestors me.
Hey, one of them Tales from the Crypts Nicholas and unplug one of your, you know what I'm saying, outlets, man.
You know about the ancestors protecting them. Stop it, bro. Take us out, Diallo. Take us going from live from the tunnel. Diallo will take us home.
All right, y'all. Thanks for being with us. We appreciate y'all. Thanks, James. I'm gonna holler at you. I'm gonna give you a call tomorrow.
Yeah, man, because I gotta figure out, what I mean, how I'm gonna interact with y'all, man. Y'all can't.
Yeah, hey man, you such a tease. You've been promising to take me out for a latte for over a year.
Hey, look.
You tease. You know how many times I got dressed up, put on some cologne, and stepped out the door, and you never showed.
I got another vehicle now, man. You know what I'm saying?
No, I don't. Oh, in your car truck.
Hey,
like I said, man, I see how you do.
No, I would have had to catch the bus out there. I would have had to catch the metro out there, man.
Don't put that man on a bus, man.
No run game on me. See, no Q&A. I don't know.
We having technical difficulties. We ain't Q&A today.
My camera's just like, to hell with you.
There you go. Oh no, never mind.
That's my webcam.
It ain't working still.
And y'all need to know how I got here, man. That's an interesting story.
Okay.
Next week.
Look, GT, Diallo, and Jared. y'all don't even know, like, when y'all put that EYL together, like, because you and Diallo used to do shows together.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I met you, Geechee.
Yep.
Or, that's how. And then you did the who was that with Kamal? The whatever show that was with Kamal and the Ear Doctor and the other cat.
Oh, Renegade joint.
Yeah, I saw you on there.
Who, me?
His no, him and
Diallo.
Doc and Diallo. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I ain't never been on that. Yeah.
On what?
Yeah.
Renegade Culture. You was on there before. I remember.
How do you feel welcome?
Y'all was at odds a little bit, but then to come see all three of y'all do a show together, I like, man, I just saw all of that unfold. So it's just like, to me, I'm watching all of my political content on one show from like 3 different areas. So it was kind of cool to see y'all come together and do that, man. It came full circle for me. So,
but we flew too close to the sun.
But man, look, I'm able to take what y'all give me and run it down to people like me who don't have as much political awareness as I get from you guys. So I think that's what my niche is. Like, I can take what you say and run it down,
Listen, even though Diallo liked Marx better than Marimba Ani, she always said, let the circle be unbroken. It's a whole circle.
I said for white folks.
I'm joking, bro. I'm joking. Don't cry. I'm joking.
Listen, let me tell you something. I have a lot of appreciation for white folks who tell on white folks. My mission for all white people is not to come save black people, but to save white folks. The white left, the white progressive, the white anarchists, the white socialists, the white freedom fighters, their first obligation should be to white people, to humanize and rescue white folks.
Bro, there's a whole link of white folks. Like, it's a whole link of study guides, messages. It's like some weird ass thing of like, I don't know what it is, but it's like politicizing white folks. I gotta find it again. You might like the link.
Yeah, go for it. Listen, let me tell you something. I got mad respect for the white left. Because if I was born a white man, I don't know. I might be on the golf course right now. I don't know. I don't know if I couldn't say if I wouldn't be I don't know if I was born with all that. I mean, with that mindset, with that mentality, with them resources, with that credit score. I don't know if I would have joined. So, I mean, if you're white and you are able to cultivate yourself to be a true leftist, a true revolutionary, bless your heart. From Luigi on down, John Paul Sartre, bless your heart. Because if I wasn't born on the losing team, I don't know if I would have abdicated the throne.
You about to get traded?
Huh?
You said you're gonna get traded?
I don't know, but if black people take power, y'all might have to keep me away from the buttons.
I only see black.
I can be a tyrant. A lot of freedom fighters become tyrants. You notice that?
Stop that. Stop. Don't convolute it like that, because sometimes they don't even be freedom fighters. They just be in spaces and.
Well, Jomo Kenyatta.
I mean, but that go back to the policy. A lot of times, if you ain't listening to no policy,
I mean this shit. When the revolution comes, y'all might have to sit me down. Like, thank you, brother. We got it from here.
I mean,
I
don't know. I'm mad as hell. I don't like this shit. I don't want to get
on the street
equal. I want to get even.
Man, anyway, when I find that thing, I'm gonna send it to you, bro. This is supposed to be the white folks that's gonna save the white folks.
Well, I think that's where it starts. There ain't no way where white folks need to be going to any other race of people telling them how to live and how to be. Because white people, the inhumanity that plagues the white race, Western culture, is a lot of work, and it's their job to do it. And I don't think we can, even if we put resources behind it, humanize these people, because the way their minds work, I don't think we really grasp who and what they are and what they've done and what they're doing. I don't think the mind can really accept the totality of the impact of Western culture. Even white scholars like, even white liberals like, what's his name, Tom Hartman. Tom Hartman said and wrote that the impact of Western culture and white people has been akin to a virus. an infectious, destructive, deadly virus. I mean, what's his name? Before he went crazy, Derek Jensen said Western culture is a death cult. It has a death cult.
It's a shame what happened to Derek Jensen, man.
And can black folks fix that? They said my mic is messed up. My mic don't sound nice.
Yeah, you sound, man. Take us out, man. Take us home, bro. You sound tunnel.
Hold on. My whole shit just crashed. What's that? Anyway, thank y'all for listening. And we'll see y'all next Friday. Thank you, James, for coming to it yet again.
Matter of fact, I'll take us home. You just press the button. Yeah. Thank y'all again for joining. Brother Diallo, Geechee, Brother James, thank you for coming through strong, real strong. And we're going to see y'all next week.